Hello ladies and gentlemen, thewierdguy here, and today we're going to tackle the subject: should you start playing in Just 2 Mobile in the year 2021? Over here we're going to cover the pros and cons of playing this game and what it implies to start playing the game right now, because obviously you're going to be 3 years and a half late on the party. But with that being said, if you enjoyed this video and you watch this video to actually decide if you should play the game or not, if this makes you decide that you should, then you'll definitely find plenty of guides to get you started off on my channel. And with that being said, let's get into it. So first point that I want to make is that it simply has the best graphics out there in terms of any mobile game that's a fighting game. The main mobile games for fighting that you can get your hands on right now and have, let's say, a similar to an extent combat system and a similar way of working with characters that come from chests are going to be MK Mobile, Marvel Conquest of Champions, and Just Mobile. And I think it's pretty safe to say and pretty unbiased to say that Just Mobile has the best graphics out of every single one of the games. So if you're looking for something that has good graphics, then this is definitely the way to go. You got amazing graphics, you got some pretty good looking effects, and you got some changing looks in terms of gear level and some thick women. But you need to keep in mind that you need quite a strong device to register those graphics, and unfortunately you'll not have the option to change the graphics yourself, because the game kind of determines itself which graphics settings your device would kind of run well on, and sometimes it doesn't get it too right, but for the most part it's going to be fine. Now, we're going to get into combat system. So, again, I'm going to be comparing this with Marvel Conquest of Champions and MK Mobile. I've played all 3 games, and other than Marvel Conquest of Champions having maybe a better combat when it comes to 1v1 combat, when it comes to overall combat and tagging in and out characters and making combos in between characters that tag in and out, the Just 2 Mobile is going to be by far superior to the other 2 games. Again, you can make the argument for MK Mobile to have better one-on-one combat, but when it comes to using your whole team, which in Marvel Conquest of Champions, I don't think you don't even enter the fight with the entire team. But when it comes to using a team of characters and making use of tagging in and out and switching in between characters, it's going to be by far the most in-depth combat system, and it's going to be for the most part a pretty damn serviceable combat system. Like, it will have its bugs and glitches, it will have its shortcomings, but for the most part it's a very solid combat system, and it's so in depth to the point that after 4 years after its release, people keep finding just new strategies to play the game. For example, I'm going to soon enough make a video on a new best way to play the multiverse team, and this is kind of the 3rd video that I made that way, because people keep finding better and more optimal ways to play that team specifically. But yeah, it's simply a fighting system that seems to reward your ability to play the game, and when something goes wrong, it kind of makes you know that, look, it was your fault. There are situations when you're like, oh, that was not my fault, but they are pretty rare. Next up, it's going to be the amount of content, and I know I'm only saying positive things so far, but don't worry, I left the negatives more towards the end. First of all, we're going to get into all the positives. It has a huge amount of content, okay? So, Just 2 Mobile has been released with 2 game modes, Campaign and Arena. Those 2 game modes are still up and are still pretty damn relevant game modes. Champions Arena will not really talk about that, but that's something you can do for some rewards, but not the most fun things in the world. Raids are going to be something that people still have a very deep interest in, even though they were released like 2 years ago. It's still one of the main, if not the most played and the most watched game mode on YouTube of Just 2 Mobile, with people that are in a league and play together some raids against bosses that they kind of band together and try and defeat. This is by far going to be the most interesting game mode in the game, and it's going to be pretty much the Kickstarter of the huge Just 2 Mobile community I will talk about later. So raids are also a new game mod introduced recently, which is going to be pretty much raids, but you obviously play them solo. And overall you're going to earn rewards from them and move up in the difficulty. And the conclusion of this, pretty much, if you start playing Just 2 Mobile, you'll not get bored, you'll have a lot of stuff to do. Next part is going to be the community. Injustice Mobile has a pretty damn big community for a game of its size and the game of its amount of active players, because it doesn't have that huge of an amount of active players. But don't worry about game shutting down, we'll touch on that subject later, and it will not shut down. But the community in Injustice Mobile is a very tight-knit community with a lot of Discord server, because a lot of people were kind of incentivized to come together because of the collaboration that's in all leagues, and that led to forming the formation of a lot of Discord servers on which now people share builds, people share damages done, people share leagues that they can join and have fun over there. So overall, it's a pretty huge community that you'll have a lot of fun with, and it's pretty much a big part of playing the game. And another point is that Injustice Mobile is here for the long run. Like, when you start playing a game, you're going to ask your question, is my time investment in this game going to be worth it? What if I put a lot of time in this game, maybe put some money in this game, and then the game simply shuts down because it's not making the money anymore? That's not the case, because of two reasons. First of all, it's making cash. Like, as far as I'm aware, or last time I checked, it made $100K a month on iOS alone. And those are pretty safe numbers for a game to stay up. Those are pretty safe numbers. And the second thing, there's something called Injustice Gods Among Us, which was the predecessor of this game, released by literally the same company. And that is up and running for more than 7 years. So if they are going to shut something down, they are going to shut Gods Among Us first of all, and much later on Injustice Mobile. So if you are worried about that, then do not worry. Injustice Mobile seems to be over here on the long run. Now, getting into the downsides of this. It's a very grindy game. You'll take a long time as a free-to-play player to build your teams. So let's say you want to build your best 6 teams. You ideally need 6 teams because you're going to need 6 teams for Soul Race to play. And you're going to also need 6 teams for Normal Race to play. 6 perfect teams, the best 6 teams in the game is pretty much all you need in the game to progress. And from that point, it's just a matter of flavor and having more fun building whatever you want. But to build those 6 best teams in the game, and when I'm talking about build, I mean optimize them to the maximum potential, make them perfect. It'll most likely take you 2 years of playing constantly. Don't get me wrong, you can get them, you can get the job half done in less than 1 year, but to optimize and get them to a perfect state, it will take a long time, and as free-to-play player, it can take all the way up to 2 years. But keep in mind that that thing will put you up in terms of damage and raids and stories on par with people who have been playing the game already for 2.5 years. So yeah, well, on one hand, it's a long time, but on the other hand, it's in a way understandable. It's just about you if you are into those kind of grindy games that are going to reward you in the long run. Another downside of starting to play the game right now is going to be the fact that you're going to miss out on a lot of character rewards. Because over the years, a lot of characters got reworked, and previously they were easily available before they got reworked, and then they got a rework done, making them far stronger, and after the rework was done, they turned into premium characters that you can only get from chests. And chests are not a great thing in this game, let me tell you that one. Next downside is going to be that daily grind is kind of consuming and can get kind of stale at points, because in order to grind this game properly, you have to play 2 hours a day. That's kind of the bare minimum. And when it comes to grinding Champions Arena, I don't know about you guys, but if anybody who's a lot of people who play the game will watch this anyway, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not having fun at all in Champions Arena. Next up, spending money on the game. Well, you don't have to spend money. You don't have to spend money. There's literally nothing in the game that you cannot get with in-game currency, but you can get only with money. But on the other hand, if you want to get, let's say, a legendary character gear, it will either cost you $10 or 3 to 5 months of grinding, which is not a very great balance. And in that situation, while in theory you can get that without spending $10, you're going to be far better off spending the $10 than doing that. So while you don't have, in this situation particularly, for example, is going to be more optimal. And the people who are heavy spenders on the game and are really supporting the game are not having a good time either. Like, look, you can get a AAA game a full AAA game for less than $100. In this game, you can get a 4-star legendary characters for $100, meaning that you need $300 get that legendary maxed out in terms of star rating, and meaning that you need $310 to also get his gears and get him all the way to 6 stars. And on top of that, add in there 3 to 4 months of grinding to get the resources to max him out. So yeah, I mean, this is a trend kind of with all, let's say most mobile games, that's kind of leaked into this one as well. The prices are going to be absurd, but don't get me wrong, there's some people who simply have another way of understanding money and simply have far more money, and this amount of money, it's nothing for them, and that's great because them supporting the game keeps the lights on for each and every one of us. But yeah, if you're going to spend money on this, there's a lot of also gambling stuff involved with spending money, so I wouldn't say you would have the best time. And getting into the next point, they have a terrible development team. Like, it seems that lately, I understand the game needs to make profit. You need to profit off a game in order to keep the game alive. But at the same time, you need to balance it out towards providing quality content towards the free-to-play players, because the free-to-play players are going to be the main thing that's keeping the community alive and providing a community for those pay-to-play players. But lately the developers seem to care far more about making a profit than the enjoyment of the average non-spending player. That's also a downside. And last thing that I want to mention before we get into some... two things. First of all, it's not going to be an easy game to get into. It's going to have a pretty heavy learning curve. It will take you a pretty long time to learn how to properly play this. But once you get the hang of it, it'll be lots of fun. It'll be lots of fun even before while learning it, but it's not going to be an easy experience. And the last point that I want to make is terrible customer support. This is the most horrendous customer support I have seen in my life. If you feel like you've at any point in your life had a bad customer support experience, then you haven't dealt with Warner Bros. Customer support. And yes, it's Warner Bros. Customer support, like in general Warner Bros. Customer support. They don't have a specific customer support for this game in particular. If you get banned for an unfair reason, good luck with that. You're never getting your account back pretty much. You are getting your account back in a lot of the situations, but there are a lot of unfair bans that don't get resolved as well, and that really frustrates me. If you have any problem with them, they're going to send you automated responses like the 4 or 5 replies that you get. They're going to be disrespectful when there's a huge issue that is their fault. They're going to give you crap compensations for it. Overall, it's a frustrating experience, and in my humble opinion, like, look, I know it's rough times for everybody. I don't want anybody to have a rough time, but honestly, everybody who works for customer support for NetherRealms or almost everybody should get fired. I don't care if they got 5 kids at home. I hate them. I think they should get fired. They are terrible. But yeah, with all being said, and with all out of the way, should you play Injustice Mobile? Yes. I think Injustice Mobile is definitely a game worth trying out. I can't say if it's necessarily for you or if you'll find enjoyment in it for the long run. That's the thing that you need to experience yourself. But I can guarantee 100% that you should try this game and try this mobile gaming experience. And either way you want to proceed with it, either keep playing it or stop playing it or even spend money on it, it's going to be justifiable in more than one ways. So with all being said, this was pretty much everything for this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the videos, like the video, maybe hit that subscribe button. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye!